How did Leonardo and Casey die in The Last Ronin? Let's find out in The Last Ronin Part 3. Okay, so the last issue ended with April revealing the robotic head of Honeycutt, opening the possibility of him coming back. And in this issue we pick up with Oroku Hiroto in the past, swearing his allegiance to the Foot Clan while being promoted to their leader. He says that the war between the Foot Clan and the Hamato clan, aka the Turtles clan, has gone on for far too long and now it's time for peace. After that, we switch to current day where Oroku broadcasts a message to the entire city. He expresses how furious he is about the mutant turtles' attack on his empire, so until further notice, he'll be placing the entire city under martial law, and if anyone tries to harbor or help the mutant, they will suffer an even worse fate than him. The story then switches over to Mikey arguing with the ghosts of his brothers because he's letting Casey help him take Oroku down. Casey then interrupts him before telling him that she's going above ground and that her mom wants to see him. When Mikey goes to see April, he's shocked because she's working on Honeycutt the Fugitoid. He wants answers, so he expresses that he thinks it's time for them to catch up. The story then goes into the past once again, where Honeycutt is alive and well, preparing for Master Splinter and Donatello to leave to Japan to try and make a peace treaty with Oroku Hiroto and the Foot Clan. Before they take off, Splinter tells his other sons to be strong because him and Donnie will see them all soon, and then they take off. After that, we discover that Baxter Stockman and the Foot Clan have been plotting and waiting for them to leave so they can steal Honeycutt, which is Baxter Stockman's most sought after prize, because he wants to study Honeycutt's advanced technology to further his own goals. And so they orchestrate a giant attack on the turtles who stayed behind, as well as Casey and April. The first bunch of foot ninjas go after Leo, who is able to take them all out before reaching Casey and the others. After that, Baxter Stockman commands his robotic foot soldiers to attack, forcing Casey and Leo to battle it out with them, while Mikey and April take Honeycutt to a safe room. Unfortunately, they're interrupted when one of the robotic foot soldiers bursts in through a nearby wall, knocking them over in the process. It tries taking Honeycutt, but before it can, Mikey intervenes, smashing its head in with a staff. This causes it to explode, tearing Honeycutt apart in the process. After that, Baxter Stockman releases his Mausers, so Leo tells Mikey to go with April and Honeycutt to get everyone clear while him and Casey hold off all the Mausers and ninjas. Mikey doesn't want to go, but Leo forces him, and then Honeycutt reaches out to Stockman, threatening to self-destruct if he continues to hurt his friends. Stockman answers back by saying, "Very well, if I can't have you, nobody will." He then proceeds to cause a mass explosion with his robots that tears apart the entire building, and that was the last time anyone ever saw Leo and Casey. We're then brought back to present day where April's daughter makes her way out of the sewers only to discover that the entire city is panicking. When she meets with her gang, they tell her what's going on and that martial law is in place. Then suddenly a tank and some foot soldiers come barging into the area demanding them to identify themselves, but Casey and the gang refuse to cooperate, fighting off the foot soldiers until deciding that they'll split up to gather reinforcements and then meet up in the sewers in an hour. Casey then goes back down into the sewers so she can tell her mom what's going on. After that, we follow up with April, who is getting some blood samples from Mikey to see what his advanced mutation is doing to his body. Mikey looks over at Honeycutt and asks April if she thinks he's still in there, and she says that she hopes so before moving on to explain how she ended up in the sewers after the explosion. She says that after everything was said and done, she woke up a week later only to find out that her husband and friends were gone, along with one of her arms and one of her legs. She also found out that she was pregnant, and so after giving birth and going through physical therapy, she moved down into the sewers because things were getting bad above ground thanks to Oroku and his Foot Clan. After that, she asks Mikey how he was able to get all the way over to Asia and Europe to train while he was gone, and he explains that he snuck onto a plane after realizing that the explosion had killed pretty much everyone in it. He was trying to get to Donnie and Master Splinter to tell them what had happened because he didn't know what else to do. April then tells him that he shouldn't feel guilty about being the only turtle who survived, before expressing that she may have found a way to beat Oroku. After that, Casey and her gang interrupt them, with Casey telling her mom that she needs to show them how to beat Oroku right now because hell is breaking loose above the sewers. After that, we see Oroku himself brooding over the city while going on an egotistically fueled rant about how he's a god and how his citizens are just peasants that aren't thankful for all that he does for them. He also claims to be better than his predecessors, including his own mother and even Shredder, before jumping off of a building while saying that he's immortal before the story jumps back over to Mikey, who is disagreeing with April's plan. She wants to attack Baxter Stockman's fortress so they can use his tech to try and reactivate Honeycutt's head so Honeycutt can shut his whole operation down, which will also shut down part of Oroku's operation because Oroku's operation also runs on Stockman tech. But Mikey doesn't like their odds, so April tells him to follow her because she needs to show him something that might help him change his mind. And that's when she reveals a giant tank that'll help them with her plan. But sadly, that's when this issue comes to an end, so like and comment if you want me to cover what happens next.